Welcome back to Rachel Collins' Real Sex Education. Today we're diving into a question a lot of people are curious about, but don't always feel comfortable asking out loud. Do women actually like their nipples being played with? And maybe more importantly, what does it mean if you love it, or if you don't feel much there at all? If you're new here, make sure you subscribe and hit like so you don't miss any of our future conversations about real, non-judgmental sex education for adults. Let's start with something really simple and really important. There is no one standard way nipples are supposed to feel. Some people have nipples that are so sensitive, even a strong shower stream feels painful. Others can have them touched, kissed, or squeezed and feel almost nothing. Both ends of that spectrum, and everything in between, can be completely normal. Have you ever noticed how different parts of your body have different personalities? Maybe your neck is super ticklish, or your lower back feels amazing when someone massages it. Or your feet are like, absolutely not, don't touch me. Nipples are just another body part with their own sensitivity setting, and that setting is different for everyone. The breast and nipple area are full of nerve endings that send signals to your brain. For some people, those nerves are extra responsive. Light touch, temperature changes, or friction from clothing can all create a strong sensation. For others, the nerves are less reactive, so the same touch produces a much milder feeling. On top of that, nipples respond to hormones and blood flow. Around your period, during pregnancy, breastfeeding, or other hormonal changes, you might notice your nipples feel more sensitive or even sore. Sometimes they feel almost hyper-aware, and other times they fade into the background. Your brain also plays a huge role here. It doesn't just process pressure or temperature, it also attaches meaning to what's happening. So the same kind of touch can feel completely different depending on context. Cold water in the shower hitting your nipples might feel sharp or uncomfortable, while a partner gently touching that same area in a caring, consensual moment might feel warm, intimate, and deeply pleasurable. Physically, your skin is being stimulated, but psychologically, your mood, your trust with that person, and how safe you feel all change the experience. If you're someone with sensitive nipples, you probably notice this in everyday life, too. Maybe you felt a strong shower stream that makes you wince and instinctively move away, or a slightly rough t-shirt rubbing against your chest all day and driving you a bit crazy, or lying on your stomach in bed and feeling a sharp discomfort in your chest area. If that's you, you're not broken, and you're not weird. You simply have a body that's telling you, hey, this area matters to me. For some people, it's mostly an annoyance. For others, it's a clue that nipple touch during intimacy might actually be a big deal, either in a positive or a negative way. On the other hand, if you're someone who feels very little from nipple touch, it can be confusing too. You might think, everyone says this is supposed to feel amazing. What's wrong with me? Let me be very clear. Nothing is wrong with you. Bodies vary. Nerve density varies. Hormones vary. There isn't a universal nipple experience that everyone else is secretly having while you missed the memo. So, do women like their nipples played with? The most honest answer is, some do, some don't, and a lot of people are somewhere in the middle. Some people say gentle touch or kissing on their nipples feels really nice and relaxing. Some only enjoy nipple touch when they're already aroused. Otherwise, it feels too intense. Some can enjoy it, but only in small doses because they get overstimulated easily. Others feel almost nothing, like it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't really add much. And some actively dislike it and would rather skip that area altogether. Every single one of those experiences is valid. One thing I hear a lot is, I thought something was wrong with me because I don't have that movie-style reaction when someone touches my nipples. Movies and porn often show this very dramatic, instant response. Someone barely brushes the nipple and the person is suddenly in ecstasy. In real life, it's usually more subtle, more varied, and much more personal. I want you to be really honest with yourself for a second. Have you ever pretended to enjoy something physically just because you thought you should? That's where a lot of unnecessary shame and confusion comes from. The goal here is to move away from should and toward what does my actual body say? When nipple touch does feel good for someone, It's often because it combines a few things at once. There's the physical sensation, gentle pressure, warmth, or movement across a highly sensitive area. There's the emotional meaning. It can feel caring, attentive, or intimate. And there's the psychological focus. Your brain is paying attention to that part of your body, and arousal can build simply from that focused attention. For some people, this combination becomes a powerful part of intimacy. Nipple touch may not necessarily lead to orgasm, but it can deepen arousal, help them feel more present in their body, and make the experience feel richer and more connected. For others, nipple touch is more neutral, like a shoulder massage. It's fine, but it's not the star of the show. And for some, it's simply something they would rather skip entirely. None of those responses make you better or worse, more or less sexual. They simply make you, you. Let's bring this into a very real-life scenario. Imagine you're with someone and they go straight for your chest, because that's what they think they're supposed to do. They're focusing a lot on your nipples, and on the outside, you're going along with it. But on the inside, you're thinking, honestly, this doesn't feel that great. Or, this is actually too intense. I kind of want this to stop. Maybe you've even given a little performance, a sound, a facial expression, just to avoid making it awkward. If that's ever happened to you, you're so not alone. Many people of all genders follow what they think is the correct script. Kiss here, touch there, move to nipples, then move on to something else. But real bodies don't follow scripts. They give feedback. Your body might be trying to tell you, less of this, more of something else. And it's totally okay to listen. You can check in with yourself in simple ways. You might ask, on a scale from 1 to 10, how does this actually feel right now? Is my body leaning into this touch or leaning away from it? Do I feel relaxed and safe or tense and bracing? Being honest with yourself is the first step. From there, you can start being honest with a partner. Talking about nipple touch doesn't have to be awkward or dramatic. You don't need a long speech or a formal meeting. Simple, clear phrases are usually best. You might say, I really enjoy gentle nipple touch, but I get overwhelmed if it's too strong. Or, sometimes my nipples are super sensitive. Can we start very softly and I'll tell you what feels okay? You might say, I don't get a lot of pleasure from nipple touch, so let's not focus too much there. Or, I'm curious about this, but I feel a bit shy. Can we go slowly and check in as we go? During the moment, you can give small pieces of feedback that make a big difference. Softer. You can stay there a little longer. That's a bit too much. That actually feels really nice. Keep that pace. If you're someone who loves nipple touch, you're allowed to say that too. You don't have to downplay it. And if you don't have to fake enthusiasm. Partners who care about you want information. When you give them a clear roadmap, you're actually making intimacy easier, not more complicated. You're saying, here's how my body works. Here's how to take care of me. Boundaries are a big part of this. You're absolutely allowed to say, no nipple touch at all. That's not something I enjoy. You're allowed to say, only through clothing. That feels more comfortable for me. Or, not today. I'm extra sensitive right now and it doesn't feel good. A boundary isn't a criticism of your partner. It's simply you sharing how your body works. Imagine if you told someone, hey, my ankle hurts, can we avoid pressing on it? Most caring people would say, of course. The same logic applies here. And if someone reacts with pressure, guilt, or mockery when you share a boundary, that's a red flag, not a sign that your boundary is wrong. You also don't have to do any kind of big experiment with your nipples if you don't want to. But if you feel safe and curious, you can gently explore your own sensitivity in a non-judgmental way. The goal isn't to train yourself to feel a certain way. It's just to gather information. You might notice that different types of touch feel different. Soft, firm, still, circular, brief, or sustained. You might notice that different times feel different. When you're relaxed versus stressed, tired versus well-rested. And you might notice that different contexts feel different. Alone, with a trusted partner, or not at all. Try to stay in a mindset of curiosity instead of judgment, rather than, Why am I like this? You could say, interesting, my body responds this way. Good to know. If the honest answer you get from your body is, I don't feel much from nipple touch, that's still useful information. It just means you can focus more on the areas that do feel good for you. Sometimes nipple sensitivity is less about pleasure and more about discomfort. If you notice persistent pain or soreness that doesn't seem related to touch or your cycle, or visible changes in the nipple or skin that worry you, or sensitivity that suddenly changes in a way that feels off for you, it's always okay to reach out to a healthcare professional. This video isn't a substitute for medical advice, but I do want to normalize checking in with a doctor when something about your body feels confusing or concerning. Being proactive about your health is a form of self-respect, not something to be embarrassed about. If you're watching this because you want to be a better partner to someone with sensitive nipples, the same principles apply. Ask and listen. You can say, how does this feel for you? Or, do you like nipple touch, or would you rather I skip that? Or, is there a way you especially enjoy being touched there, or should I focus somewhere else? And then respond to their answer. If they say they love it, great. If they say they don't, respect that. Your goal isn't to perform some ideal version of intimacy you learned from media. Your goal is to connect with the specific human in front of you. So do women like their nipples played with? Some do, some don't. Many are in the middle. And you don't have to match anyone else's experience to be normal. What really matters is understanding how your body responds, being honest with yourself instead of chasing a fantasy script, communicating clearly and kindly with partners, and respecting your own boundaries and theirs. Your body is not a problem to fix. It's a relationship to build. If this conversation helped you feel even a little bit more at home in your body, I'm really glad you're here. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe, hit like, and share this video with someone who might need a calmer, more realistic perspective on nipple sensitivity. If you want to go deeper into this topic, I also have a whole conversation about how to say no in bed and how to talk about boundaries in a kind but clear way, so you might want to watch that next. I'll see you in the next video.